All right, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai, Brakatha Yahweh, Brakatha Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Chahakodash. I want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect, as a high spirit and lawyer. And today I want to go into a topic, going into, all right, the customs of our forefathers pertaining to our daughters. All right. And this comes from inspiration of the videos that the apostles have been doing. All right. Things that I've been reading about that ties into, what the Spirit has been on the apostles to do. All right. And we have our scoffers that say things like we're PDF files when we bring out the laws of our forefathers pertaining to our daughters. But the Spirit got on us to go into something called ethnocentrism, all right, or ethnocentricity. And that's basically, you judging another culture by the standards and formalities of your culture. And that's what Jake does, who's so-called woke. They say they woke up in the truth, but they're not. They didn't, because they still judge our culture from the lenses and rules of the American culture. All right, but when you dig into the fabric of our culture, all right, is totally contrary to the way it's done now. All right, for example, all right, our daughters, all right, well, in the ancient world, there was a patriarch, and you betroth your daughter to a Israelite man of reputation. All right, you will sell your daughter as a Hebrew servant, man. All right, but we're gonna get into it. All right, and we're gonna tie into the history, how different customs that you'll read about, say in Europe, it goes back to Jerusalem. All right, pertaining to our daughters. It is, and in America, you think it's some color purple, Mr. Sealy, type of deal, when really it's quite the contrary. It's really royal. It's aristocratic, and it's how you reserve or preserve your royal heritage. All right, but without further ado, I'm going to get into it. So first, I do want to open up with the scripture. All right, 1 Peter 2:9. It says, "But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation." So pertaining to our daughters, if we allow our daughters to go out and deal with whoever and just go off their nature, go off instincts, is that holy? Is that royal? All right, it says, "In holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who have called you out of darkness into this marvelous light." All right. And all right, let me get into it. So that's the opening scripture. All right, we are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. So we are a royal generation, a royal priesthood. So every law that Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai has given his people, all right, these are royal regulations, royal statutes for a royal people, including the laws pertaining to our daughters. Okay, so I'm going to get into the scripture right quick. Okay, and this is Sirach 42. All right, the Good News translation. And my phone has been acting slow lately, so just bear with me. Okay, but as a matter of fact, why that's loading, all right, I'm going to go into it like this. So this is the book, all right. This book is called The New Book of Etiquette by Lillian Eichler, all right. Going into the history, all right, The New Book of Etiquette, all right. It says completely revised edition, including notes for an epicure, the traditions and services of wine and other beverages by Lillian Eichler. All right. It says revised edition with illustrations, Garden City Publishing Company, Garden City, 1938. So this book was revised, I believe, in 1938. And it just goes into etiquette and different customs, all right, that's classified as proper, all right, or something that's pertaining to a well-bred person. All right, they have a certain vernacular. All right, they use certain words like well-bred, but if you go into the scriptures, or especially the book of Sirach, it has terms like well-bred. All right, because once again, you're gonna find out that all this royal class, etiquette, these things pertaining to like royalty, it goes back to Jerusalem. Well, let's let the information speak for itself. All right, this is page, all right, page 22 under the Crusades. I'm just going to get to the point. And this is pertaining to the Crusades and how Europe, all right, developed their royal etiquette, all right, their royal customs. All right, it says, with a fervor and enthusiasm unparalleled in history, it says the people were coming from France, Normandy, England, southern Italy, and Sicily. That's a dead giveaway as to who was coming from Europe. It was Jake. It says, to rescue the Holy Sepulchre from the profane touch of the infidel. So Jake was going back to Jerusalem to retrieve Jerusalem, the Holy Land. All right, they were coming from Europe to Jerusalem. These crusaders brought back with them rich fabrics and exquisite tapestries. All right, now it tells you, let me just get it right quick. Let me get it. Let me open up a new tab. All right, once again, just bear with me. All right, but it says that Jake went into Jerusalem. All right, and what did they do? They went into Jerusalem and they brought back rich fabrics and exquisite tapestries, because you're going to find out that one of the themes of Jerusalem, all right, was our exquisite embroideries. Okay, here we go. This is Exodus 36:4. All right, it says, and all the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they made. All right, let me go further into it. All right, and it says, and every wise-hearted man, this is Exodus 36:8, and every wise-hearted man among them that wrought the work of the tabernacle made 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet, with cherubims of cunning work made he them. But it says, and every wise-hearted man among them that wrought the work of the tabernacle made 10 curtains of fine twined linen. So going back to Exodus and the installation of the tabernacle, all right, the inner works of the tabernacle consist of what? It said curtains of fine twined linen. Now, what does it say in the book of etiquette? It says the Crusaders brought back from Jerusalem, the Holy Land, brought back with them rich fabrics and exquisite tapestries. All right, and let's get an example of tapestries. All right, and let me see. I could just open up another tab right quick. Okay. Tapestry. Those are tapestries. All right, and this is what they got from the Holy Land. This is what they got from the Holy Land. All right. These are tapestries, but they got things like this type of artwork, because this was known. This is what Israelites did. They got into that needlework, man, to make those curtains, those tapestries for the tabernacle. Okay. Now, they didn't have these exact designs, all right, but it's in this same genre per se, all right, just for you to get the picture, literally. Okay. All right, so going back to, all right, Exodus, all right, it says, and every wise-hearted man among them that wrought the work of the tabernacle made 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue and purple and scarlet, with cherubims of cunning work made he them. And this is where you get that Bohemian style from, because those Bohemians are really Israelites. All right. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay. But that's pretty much the point, man, that we got into that needlework, man. Okay. All right, let's get back to the book. It says, all right, they brought into France and England strange new tastes and customs. And this is the beginning of etiquette in France and England. Jerusalem, as a result of the Crusades. Jake going back to their homeland to get their homeland back, but in turn bringing home the customs or bringing to Europe the customs of their forefathers. All right? Returning from faraway places influenced by strange people with strange customs, they set the pace for a new social era. A study of etiquette reveals many customs and fashions that originated during the period of the Crusades. So this is essentially what they did, all right? Essentially what they did was they pulled Jeremiah 6:16, and I could just roughly quote it, how they went into the old paths. They literally, through the Crusades, went into the old paths. They studied the old ways and brought it back to Europe. And something in the form of etiquette, okay? So now we want to transition into something that they brought back with them from Jerusalem, all right, is the customs that in the manner in which you deal with your daughters, okay? So I'm going to open up with the scripture. This is Sirach 42, around the 9th verse, the Good News translation. And he says, and they go off a little bit, but it kind of expounds on it more. All right, it says Sirach 42:11. It says, I started 9. Although he will not let his daughter know it, a father will lie awake at night worrying about her. If she is young, he worries that she might not get married. If she is already married, he worries about her happiness, but that's not what it says in the KJV. If she is a virgin, he worries that she might be seduced and become pregnant while living in his house. Because in the home of our forefathers, there was a great shame for your daughter to be with child and she hadn't been married off, man. All right. If she is married, he worries that she might be unfaithful or that she might not be able to have children. And this is the point. All right. Keep a close watch over your daughter if she is determined to have her own way. Today they will call that fast. If you don't, she may make a fool of you in front of your enemies. You will be a constant joke to everyone in town, a public disgrace. Make sure that her room has no windows or any place where she can look out to the entrance of the house. Don't let her show off her beauty in front of men or spend her time talking with women. Women hurt other women just as moths damage clothing. But the point is, make sure that her room has no windows or any place where she can look out to the entrance of the house. Don't let her show off her beauty in front of men or spend her time talking with women. But this is what I wanted to get into. And this is where this book, all right, went into something called a debutante. A debutante, okay? And you're going to find out that a debutante, that concept goes back to the ways of our forefathers. It says courtship and betrothal, the debutante. Now let's get into the definition first of debutante. It says, one second. I'm going to get the etymology first, okay? Debutante goes back to female stage actress making her first public performance, but that's something that came later. The key element or the key word in debutante is actually debut. Like how you have an album debut when you first showcase your album, all right? So the word debutante goes back to debut, okay? And if you go into the Wikipedia history of the word debutante, all right, this is what it says. Once again, we got to let it load up. All right. But going back, while it's loading up, I can get this book, get a reference from this book, Courtship and Betrothal. Now, where does betrothal come from? All right. Our forefathers. All right. Because pursuant to Deuteronomy 22, you will have your daughter that's betrothed to another Israelite man. All right. But this is debutante in the Wikipedia. All right. It says a debutante, also spelled debutante. All right. is a young woman of aristocratic or upper class family background who has reached maturity and is presented to society at a formal debut. It says presented to a society at a formal debut. So going back to Sirach 42, when it says keep a close watch over your daughter if she is determined to have her own way. Skipping down, make sure that her room has no windows, because technically your daughter is held back or quote unquote in prison, all right, until she's debuted, all right, debut to her betrothed husband, all right, or debut to be showcased, as some cultures would do it, man. But that's where you get, like I said, the term album debut from. You're showcasing, you're presenting your album to the world. But now your daughter has reached the flower of her age, and now she's about to be presented. Okay? Well, wait a minute. The spirit just hit me. Okay? Let's get the KJV right quick. Just so you won't think I'm just making some stuff up, man. Okay? Look for that KJV. Okay, actually I don't see it. Let me see if I get this 21st century King James Version. All right, just for further edification, and this will be a more lengthy lesson. It's kind of, different from most of my lessons, which are usually under 20 minutes. All right. Because like I said, going back to the old ways and the old paths, you kept your daughter back until it was time for her to be presented to the groom. Our daughters were debutantes, all right? Meaning that they were debuted when they reached the flower of their age and they were ready to be married to the groom, which was another Israelite man. But, yeah, my phone, man, I hate this stuff. But Israel is like a chaste virgin, all right? And we're being prepared, all right? And we're being imprisoned, so to speak, because we're prisoners of Yahushua, right? All right? And our life is here, right? All right? Our life is here our life is here until the coming of our groom Yahushua. But this is 2 Corinthians 11:2. For I am jealous over you with godly jealousy, for I have espoused you to one husband, that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Hamashiach. But he said that I may present you or debut you to Hamashiach, Yahushua Hamashiach. All right? This is the customs of our forefathers, man. All right? That's where we get the word like a present from. Like your daughter or an Israelite woman is like a present. And when you are betrothed to her, or she's betrothed to you, and then you unwrap her in the tent. An example of a Israelite woman being unwrapped is who? Rebecca. It said Isaac. The scripture said Isaac went into Rebecca's tent and knew her, and she became his wife. He unwrapped his present. And we could go back into the scriptures, go into the account. But I'm gonna just reference it. When Rebecca was coming towards Isaac, because the servants came to retrieve Rebecca, when she saw Isaac, she covered her face again because she was a present. She was a present, so she had to be concealed. See, the Israelite woman, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American woman, all right, they're like presents to their husband. That's why they're covered up. And then when you retrieve your wife, you pay the dowry, okay? Then you could unwrap your wife. But what does it say in the scriptures? That wife should be a harlot in the city. So our women have been unwrapped way before we got with them. But the way of our forefathers, we betrothed them, all right, and we married them off at the age where they became ripe, the flower of the age, which was the advent of puberty. Okay? But the point was, man, all right, you the way of our forefathers, You held your daughter back from society. You kept her back from society till it was time to debut her. Hence the term a debutante, which goes back to debut. All right. So this is let me see if I can pull some else from these tabs. All right. I don't want to miss anything. But once again, a debutante is actually something that was done in an aristocratic class, in the upper class. But the way of our forefathers was royal. Did it not say in the scriptures, thou art a holy generation, a royal priesthood? So this is the royal way. All right. Did it not say that Jake went back to the Middle East, Jerusalem, all right, to retrieve the land back from Ishmael, ultimately? And what did they get back with them? The old way. And they brought the old way to France and Britain. I'm sounding like I'm from the East Coast, Britain. No, from Britain, you know? And you know how we are with the English, all right? We got the old way from Jerusalem and brought it back to Europe, all right? So part of the customs in Europe was to have your daughter held back. But we brought it back out in the scriptures in Sirach 42, all right? Because we got it from Sirach 42, all right? Which I lost it, but you know, that your daughter had no windows because she was like she was being developed until it was time to present her to the groom. Okay, it's that simple. But today you will look at that as like, man, y'all are bad people. Like they will look at that like it's occultic and crazy. You know. Let's see what else we got. All right. But this was a part of our heritage. And I don't know if I brought this out already, but if I did not, I'll do it again. All right, 1 Peter 2:9, it says, but ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people. All right, but the point, I finished it off, that ye should show forth the praises of him who have called you out of darkness into this marvelous light. But the point was, we were a chosen generation, a royal priesthood. This is the royal way. Arranged marriages, things of that nature. And I'm going to show you another gem that the Good News Translation brought out. Okay? Now just bear with me 1 second. Okay? Go back to Good News Translation. That GNT be hidden, man. If you use it with discretion, you know. See, our daughters, all right, came with the gender role. It wasn't like you just looked at her in vain and it's like, oh, she bad, I'm gonna get her. Because in Babylon, Eve is quote unquote bad, like she's a baddie, and that's her value, her body. And she has a price on that, right? But in the ways of our forefathers, all right, our daughters was they came as a gender role, man. You basically bought a servant. She came with a duty, a function. You see? And once again, we're just waiting on the phone to load and select. Okay? But while we're doing that, because I'm not going to stall, brothers. All right? It says courtship and betrothal, going back to the book on etiquette. It says, and this is page 149 under courtship and betrothal. It says, curiously enough, the phrase coming out pertaining to daughters is a relic of barbarism in primitive tribes, and indeed in many savage tribes existing today. The girl is not only kept secluded, but is actually imprisoned until she has reached a marriageable age. Now, they say it's primitive. No, but really this is the royal way. All right? As we read in Sirach 42, give her no windows. Technically, she's in prison. It says, all right, let me see. She is in charge of a trusted old woman of the tribe, the first and original chaperone. When the girl is ready to come out of seclusion and be sold or given in marriage, there is a tribal feast and dance and a great coming out party. It is remarkable that the phrase coming out should have survived even to our own polished civilization in connection with the debutante who comes out of social seclusion and is introduced to society. Okay, so let me go back, pull this up, Sirach 9. Okay, but once again, Sirach 42, it says what? And there's another scripture that says keep a daughter in straightly. All right, Sirach 42, it says give her no windows. So this is the manner of daughters. Now, of course, we don't have absolute control over our daughters. Now, a lot of times the woman you had your daughter with, she might have more control over your daughter. So there's certain things you can't really control. But we do this for insight and edification. All right. See, a lot of brothers, they'll fold if they saw the old way being played out. They're offended. All right. They are offended, man. All right. They are offended, man. Offended. All right. Offend means to strike. Like how you have the sport fencing. They're striking at each other. Look at this shit, man. All right. This is a Sirach 9. And let me see where we are. Where are we? All right. This is Sirach 9 and 5. Good News Translation. It says, don't look too intently at a virgin, or you may find yourself forced to pay a bride price. All right. Don't look too intently at a virgin, or you may find yourself forced to pay a bride price, because the more you look, the more you're going to be drawn, and that might lead to sex. Man, now let's give it some context. The Israelite woman was supposed to be a what? Virgin. So if you break my daughter's virginity, you break her boffling gland, you basically open up a product that was sitting on my shelf. You break, you buy. So you broke her virginity, you got to pay the bride price. So our daughters came with a price, literally. Therefore, our daughters were held back from society. All right. Going back to Sirach 42. All right. Going back to Sirach 42. Let me see if I can type it up. All right. Held back from society so she won't be tainted. And give it some, just to give it some cultural context. If your daughter isn't proven to be a virgin, she could be put to death. She'll be put to death, man. Or she gets pregnant in your household. That's a great shame. Like how Eve will lay up with sorry niggas, but she'll still be living with her parents because they're enabling her to keep having babies by sorry niggas. All right. And that's just a great shame to the Israelite man in the ancient world, man. All right. So like I said, Sirach 42 and 9, Good News Translation. Although he would not let his daughter know, a father will lie awake at night worrying about her. All right. If she is young, he worries that she might not get married. If she is already married, he worries about her happiness. Now, that doesn't say that in the KJV. That does not say that in the KJV. Verse 10, if she is a virgin, he worries that she might be seduced and become pregnant while living in his house. So that's why there is something called a bride price. But that's also why you kept your daughter in prison, so to speak, until she's debuted to her groom. Like how we're spiritually, it said you are dead and your life is hid with Yahushua, because we're dead to this world because we're betrothed to our husband Yahushua, and we're going to be debuted because the Apostle Paul said, "I will present you as a chaste virgin to Yahushua." So we're the spiritual debutantes. All right, this is going to be presented or debuted to Yahushua. But in our customs, the daughters of Jerusalem were literally debutantes. All right, held back from society until they were connected or married to their husbands. All right, and this is for edification. I'm showing you how we dealt with our daughters in Jerusalem, man. All right, but a carnal man or the natural man, these things are a stumbling block to him, man, because he can't see past the American way. Are we doing that now? No. You know, we're not selling our daughters anything like that. All right. But this is the old way. And ironically, it's the royal way. All right. preservation. Okay? All right? But, I mean, that's pretty much the point. There's no point of just prolonging it. But two things that was brought out, man, was that, all right, this debutante word, this French word debutante, all right, and which goes back to Britain and France, all right, ultimately goes back to Jerusalem. And we showed you in the scriptures. We showed you in the scriptures and we showed you in the history books, man. Because this book about etiquette, which was written by Lillian Eichler, all right, it showed you that the customs of Europe go back to what? The Middle East, specifically Jerusalem. Because that's what the Crusades was about. Retrieving their homeland, all right, from the heathen. All right. I read that again. All right. An outline of etiquette, page 23. It says, these crusaders brought back with them rich fabrics and exquisite tapestries, which is a Jerusalem style. All right. Those embroidered works, those curtains, those fine linen, all right, hanging on the walls like that Bohemian style, goes back to Jerusalem. They brought into France and England strange new tastes and customs, returning from faraway places, influenced by strange people with strange customs. They set the pace for a new social era. But those strange customs go back to Jerusalem. And this is an example of a strange custom. All right, keeping your daughter on preserve, all right, until it's time to present her to her husband. All right, another form of our custom that's demonized now by Jakes that's supposed to be of the circumcision, man. All right, make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, but with that, all right, I do hope this was edifying. All right, and I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Kodash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone Ruel, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect, Abba Baal, Kum Yashala, Shalom.